All right, for the rest of lesson 5, we are going to learn how to work with different tab symbols, and we're also going to learn how to work with bullets and numbering. I'm going to deviate a little bit from the step-by-steps that are in the book. You'll learn the same things, but I'm going to refer to a couple of pages. The first page I'm going to refer to is page 120, the table at the top of the page, which has the 4 different tab symbols that we will be practicing for the first part of this lesson. How we can change these symbols is in the upper left corner of Word. Please open Word if you haven't already done so. The default tab setting is in the upper left corner here, and you can see that it automatically defaults to a left tab. If we click one time on the button, it becomes what's called a center tab. Okay, if mouse over it says center, click on it another time, it becomes what's called a right tab. And the last option is a decimal tab. And we're going to practice using all of these right now. So what I want you to do is click on the tab symbols again till you get to the left tab symbol. And let's, with your cursor at the top of a blank document, I want you to come to your ruler and I want you to find a spot on the ruler where you want to place that left tab. We're going to place it at the half-inch mark. So point at the half-inch mark, the white part of the ruler, and click once, and you will get a left tab. You always get the tab that you happen to have selected here. Next, let's add a right tab. And so I want you to click until it's the right tab symbol, which is a backward L, and I want you to place a right tab at the 6-inch mark. Next, we're going to do a center tab, so I want you to click until you get to the upside down T, which is a center tab. Let's put that at the 3-inch mark. And then the last tab we're going to practice is the decimal tab, which is the upside down T with the little dot in it. And let's put that at the 5-inch mark. So right now you have 4 tabs: a left tab at the left-inch mark, upside down T or center tab at the 3-inch mark, decimal tab, upside down T with the dot at the 5-inch, and right tab at the 6-inch mark. Now, once you've created your tabs, there's another way you can do that or work with them, which is through the tab dialog box. So if I double click at any one of my tabs, I get the tab dialog box, and this shows that I have created these using by just clicking on the ruler. I could also go in and individually change some things about them. You can see as I click on each one, it tells me which kind that I've used. And I'm going to come in a moment and change my right tab to a dot leader, but not yet. So anyway, if you would set any tabs, you could type in where you would like it to be. You could select the type of tab you want, and then you click on Set. All right, so let's just start entering some information here to practice. We're going to create 4 categories of information. The first category that we're going to create, I want you to press your tab one time. We're going to type in first name. Oops, I had caps lock on. Pardon me. First name. I'm going to tab over to my center tab. I'm going to type last name. I'm going to tab over to the decimal tab, and I'm going to say dollars owed. And I'm going to tab over to my last tab, and I'm going to say paid. And I'm just making up some goofy headings here. Since these are headings, I'm going to go ahead and underline the whole works just so they stand out. All right, now I'm going to return down, and I'm going to turn that underline off. And here's what I want you to do. We're going to add your information first. So let's go ahead and type your first name, type your last name, come up with a goofy dollar amount. Don't make it too big, please. And for paid, we'll just be typing in yes or no for this. Okay? So we're just creating a little list for friends that owe us some money, so we have that information. Okay? Return down to the new line. Let's tab in again, and now we're going to make up names of friends or names of people with additional information. We need to get 2 or 3 lines created here so that you can see exactly how these various tabs work. So I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to put Miss Kester in here because she won't care, and she owes me a little bit of money, but she has paid me. Okay, do the same thing. Just add in a couple of friends' names. This is just for practice. Do you see that as we add these in, that these various tabs do exactly what we're asking them to do? Okay, so I'm done with my list here, and you can see that for this particular list, the left tab aligns everything at the left side. The center tab centers all the information. The right tab right aligns, and then that was a decimal tab. The decimal tab lines up by where the decimal appears. So if I had had some goofy decimal values, the decimal would line up. And finally, the right tab aligns at the right side. Okay, now I'm going to make a change here for this point on in my document. And so what I'm going to do is at this point, I'm going to pull off my center tab by clicking and dragging. I don't need it anymore for this next section. And I'm also going to pull off my decimal tab because I don't need it anymore. Now, what I want you to do is double click on your right tab to get that dialog box and select the 6-inch right tab. And what I want you to do next is set a dot leader, and the dot leader, the one I've chosen, number 2, will give the dot 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 between. This one would get hyphens, this one would give underlines, but I want to have dot dot dot. So I've selected my 6-inch right tab. I've made sure I've selected number 2 dot leader. I'm going to set and OK. And I'm going to pretend now I'm creating a table of contents for a paper. So I'm going to type chapter 1, pretending this is my table of contents. I'm going to hit my tab, and boom, I get the dots going across. And then I'm just going to do this a few times, pretending I'm working on this particular paper. So you can see now how the dot leader feature works. Now, if you already have some existing text, I'm going to come down to a new spot. The thing about working with tabs is they only work for where your cursor is in your document and that point forward. Okay? So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to create a list of some fruit here. And I'm going to pretend that I've already created this list, but I want to go ahead now and I want to add some tabs for this information. So at this point in time, since I've highlighted this whole works, I could add, I'm going to click here, oops, cancel this. I'm going to go back and just change this to a left tab. So I'm going to pull that decimal tab off, change it to a left tab. I had them highlighted, so if I tab now, the whole works is going to move over because I have them highlighted, and then I can format that information. So if you already have some text that you've typed and you want to add some tabs to it, you can highlight it, make your tab change, and then it will cooperate. We could have had multiple columns, and if we'd had more than one tab, once we highlighted it, it would have formatted correctly for us. And so that is the gist of working with different kinds of tabs. Now, the next thing we're going to practice is working with bulleted lists. Okay? Once again, if you already have some text entered, as we've done here, and you want to make them be either bulleted or numbered, you can use these options that are available for you right here. So if I wanted to add bullets to this list, since they're already typed, I could highlight, click bullets. Now, maybe I'd like to use some different bullet styles. If I pull on the arrow right next to it and I can mouse over, I can see what some of these different styles look like as I'm working with it and kind of what the default is. So if there's a particular style I prefer, I just change that. Now, if I want to be able to access some unique symbols, okay, I can go to Define New Bullet. I need to have my bullets selected when I do this. And if I go to Symbol or Picture, it comes back to whatever I've asked it to do, and I can make bullets out of any of these symbols right now if I want to. And click on OK, and now I've got this new symbol. Or I could do the same thing with any pictures that have been saved in my directory. And if I give it a moment here, it's going to load up, or I can search for a particular symbol. So maybe keeping with the heart theme, and perhaps it's not going to allow, oh, there we go. Okay, so when I type that in and I select include from Office Online, it's gonna, since it's getting close to Valentine's Day, and I can choose one of these symbols, click on OK, and now that symbol becomes my bullet. So those are different ways. If you had a picture or image saved, you could also navigate to where that particular picture or image is. Kind of small right now, so you may need to modify your font size so that you can read it more easily as you're working with it. Okay, now if you want to start from scratch and you want to do either bullets or numbers, all you have to do is click on that. Let's go ahead and click on numbers now, and because I'd made my font bigger, it's staying bigger. If I didn't need it that big, whatever, I could resize it. I have to let's see, I'm going to delete this here for a moment and rechange my font size before I begin. Okay, so now I'm going to choose my numbers, and now I can create a number list, whatever that might be. Once again, perhaps it's fruit. Okay, so now I've got a numbered list, and you'll notice that it stays in the numbered list as far as I go. Now, if I want to create it within the numbered list, I've got these different ways of working with different headings and subheadings and those kinds of things as I'm going through this information. So if I wanted to say have this be, if I had different levels, I could choose any of these layout features to work from. I'll just choose this one here. Okay, and that changed then to that particular style. But if I press my tab, now I can get the a particular sub-level. And now let's say that I press my enter again here, which brings me down to item C. I want to go back and have this be numeral 5 instead. If I hold the Shift key down and press tab, then that brings it back to that previous level. Okay, now this works the same way with bulleted lists. If I come back to grapes, I press enter, I press tab, I have sort of a list of possible levels that I can choose from, and as I'm looking this tells me what my different levels will do. So once again, if I don't change anything, this is a default circle. If I wanted it to be something different, by the way, I could go in and choose one of these other symbols and it would automatically change. But let's say I'm doing green grapes and red grapes, and now I want to get back to that heart, the main one. Hold your Shift key down, press tab, and it goes back a level. So the tab key moves you forward a level. You can see what the different sub bullets would be. Shift tab brings you back a level. Okay, and that's a real unique shortcut to use when you're working with bulleted lists. So you have learned everything except for one final feature, and that is when you have a document, looking at your document in outline view. So if you go to your views in the lower right corner and get outline, you can see you get these little bullets here to work with that show you your same information, with each line being assigned basically its own bulleted list. What we can do here, if I come back to red for example, we have the option of moving over or demoting to different levels, or moving back or promoting to different levels right here. And that's another way to get to the different levels other than by using your tab or Shift tab to get through these different things. You're also able, if you changed your mind and you want a particular piece of text to appear in a different spot, you can move it up or you can move it back down. This just takes a little getting used to as you're working with it, but that's another way, if you don't like the idea of the tab or the Shift tab of moving around, of being able to make this work. And so once again, that is from outline view. So now you have all of the step-by-steps you need in order to complete the remainder of the Lesson 5 assignments.